is time for us to chat today about some SEO topics. I wanted to make sure that we had at least a month of time dedicated to SEO, search engine optimization, because a lot of us have very significant troubles with making a search engine optimization work for our small businesses. We either are spending zero time on it, or we're spending a lot of time or a lot of money, and we're not always sure if we're getting the best outcomes. And this video is all about how to know what to say on your website, because your website is probably your biggest and best asset other than the things that you sell. When it comes to digital marketing, our websites are the end all and be all. So let's talk a little bit about that end all and be all, and talk about how to get to the idea of what we should be saying on our website to make it work for us. First things first is that your website should have a structure that makes sense. In one of the previous videos this month, I talked about the idea that you should be linking to your pages within your website, meaning that there basically should be no pages in your website that have no job or that stand completely alone. All of the websites should have a next steps, essentially. So what I want you to be thinking about when you're trying to figure out what to say or how to know what to say on your website is essentially, what are the things that someone needs to know about your business in order to do business with you? What is something that people would need to know in order to do business with you? And then how can you design your website to have those things that someone might need to know actually on your website? And then additionally, outside of what someone might need to know about your business, what are the things that people are asking generally in your industry that you might want to share via your website? So making sure that you have that laid out. For me, the idea here, or the idea that I want you to really understand, is that making sure that you know what to say on your website is more about knowing what your website's job is for your customer than anything else. What job is your website serving for your customer? I've been talking to people recently who have been saying things like, my website is basically just a brochure, or my website is basically just a sign that's out in the internet saying I'm in business. And I think that is a very interesting way to think of having a website, but you might want to think of your website, especially if you are a service-based business, or if you are a business that does not do e-commerce, which a lot of people are. You're in a business that doesn't do e-commerce. You need to be thinking through what are the things people need to know about your business, not just what is the signpost information. So when I say what do people need to know, let's get to the concept of frequently asked questions. A lot of times on our websites, or a lot of websites that you see out on the internet, will have a page called frequently asked questions, or they will have a section called frequently asked questions on an about page. If you are in a position where you basically have a 2-page website and there isn't anything else that you think needs to be on your website, you can't think of ways to add more pages without adding a blog, or you're trying to think of a blog, but you can't think of what to put in the blog, what I'd like for you to do is take those frequently asked questions and drop them into the internet. So take your frequently asked question and Google it. Not just for yourself, but for any business. So if you are in an industry where a lot of times people are asking questions about time to execute. So how long does it take to actually do this thing? If that is a common question, go ahead and drop it into the internet and see what other people are writing about that topic. Because what I will bet is that whatever you have on your frequently asked questions page could actually be an entire page on your website where you are explaining that topic in depth. Right? So you might have a really short answer. So frequently asked questions are really great. I'm not saying you shouldn't have them, but maybe in your frequently asked questions, you have a 1-sentence answer for that, which is great. But then you could also have an entire web page explaining what that thing is and how it applies in your business specifically. So leveraging essentially what you know people want to know, but then giving them all of the information that they could possibly think to need. And one of the best ways to do that, like getting them all the information you think they might need, is to actually look it up. What are other people saying about this topic? And like going in that direction. So what are the things that people really feel like they need to know? And then really diving deep on one topic per page. So I have a question in the chat. I'm trying to make sure that I'm a little bit following the chat. I always get distracted about the idea of doing price listings and things like that. Now, I will tell you from experience of doing it both ways, having a service-based business with prices that are listed and a service-based business where prices are not listed. In all reality, there are drawbacks to both. So there are missed opportunities when you don't list your pricing, but there are also missed opportunities when you do list your pricing. So what I would suggest you do is go with whatever one makes sense for you personally. So if you are the kind of person who really prefers people to contact you for more information, or if when you listed your pricing in the past, you feel like the number of people who contacted you was super low, then you may want to take the pricing off and go with that. So it's going to be based on your personal experience, mostly because each of our audiences are different and the people who we are catering to are going to respond differently to having prices listed versus not having prices listed. If you have a very, very price sensitive audience, you might want to list your pricing, even if it's high. So it doesn't have to be that your pricing has to be low in order to be listed. Sometimes we need to list our pricing because our customers are so price sensitive that they will not even approach you if they don't have an idea of how much it costs. And you may want to list price ranges. I've seen that happen too, where it's like, oh, it's this kind of package costs between this and this amount of money, gives people an idea of what they're getting themselves into. And even then, okay, so let's talk about the idea of pricing as a way to create pages on your website. So if you are a photographer, the temptation may be to have all of your packages listed on one page on your website. But what about the concept of having all of your prices listed on one page on your website and then having a page dedicated to each package? So have a page on your website that explains exactly what that package is, like what are the things that are included in that package. Even if it is repeating information from other pages, there's going to be value in helping people to see the one thing that they're interested in. So taking the concept of a pricing guide or that one thing that, okay, our price is this for this package, taking that idea and expanding it out so that each page on your website, again, has the ability to communicate a lot of information to someone who is interested in that package. Now, that is one way to do what I was talking about, like taking a frequently asked question, taking your packages, whatever it is that you're offering. It's really useful to us for search engine optimization to make sure that we are using our words. So when I say using our words, the search engines can't read your mind. And the search engines are also not in your 15-minute phone calls or your 30-minute consults that you're doing with people. The search engines are not there. We can talk about how technically they are, but that's not the point. So the spiders that are crawling for Google and Bing and Yahoo are actually crawling your website for words. And so what a lot of us are doing wrong with our websites and why we are not getting found, a lot of us are not getting found for our own businesses. We might have the only photography studio in Avon Lake, and we're never being found for photography studio in Avon Lake. And it's likely because our website is not explaining to people clearly that we are a photography studio in Avon Lake. You want to make sure that whatever your website is doing it exceedingly clearly, and that each of the pages on your website has one single job. So you might have a pricing page. That is the page where all of the prices are listed. But then you may have a page for each package where it explains all the details in that package. You may have a frequently asked questions section on your contact page, where then you will take each of those frequently asked questions and dedicate an entire web page to actually laying out what that topic is in long form, explaining it using your words, lots and lots of words, because those words are actually being used by people. What we are now experiencing, very fortunately, is that search has gotten to the point where it is very nuanced, meaning we're all actually searching for very specific things. And because we're searching for a very specific thing, it is a very disappointing experience for us to search that one specific thing and not have the answer to that one specific thing show up when we're actually asking that question. And for me, as a person who loves search, I love using search. I use search engines all the time. The idea that I could ever be searching for something and not have my exact answer come up on the website of the business that I'm searching for drives me insane. So it makes me a little like nutty that this business has not taken the time to actually use words to explain what they do well enough so that I can just look at it, just see it on their website. That's very, very important. Key tip here is in your frequently asked questions, on your pricing pages, wherever it is that you have things that are subordinated into these different areas on your website, like I said, a frequently asked question or a pricing section, consider actually using an entire web page to outline or detail all of the specifics about a price or all of the specifics about a frequently asked question. Now, another thing that you can dedicate an entire page to is team. So if you are a team, you work with a team, one of the things that we like to do in our businesses is have an about page that is relatively vague. I have been guilty of this myself. And so you have an about page that is relatively vague, and it might have a snippet about the founder, a little bit about the team, about why the business was started, and all that good stuff. But have you considered maybe having an about us page that has an overview of everyone on the team, an overview of the founder, an overview of the mission, and then maybe having a manifesto page on your website that just goes all into detail about what the manifesto is of your business, why you started, what it is you believe, what are all of the elements that make your business so unique that anyone would want to actually hang with you. So like creating that manifesto page is one way to get another page on your website. How about a page that's just dedicated to the founder, an about Lindsay page, an about Pat page, an about Jen page, like a page that is just about you, not about us, because about us is about everybody, but a page that is just about you, where maybe you take the time to map out your entire journey to getting to where you are. And you may be thinking, but nobody cares about me, especially because I've told you before that nobody cares about you, because they don't. But they do care about how you relate to them. And so if you have an about us page or an about Jen page or an about Pat page on your website, then actually what people are reading that page for is not to learn about you specifically. They're reading the page to learn how you relate to them. So they're looking for, oh, did we go to the same school, or did we grow up in the same neighborhood, or what was their experience after college, or what was their experience with community college, or what was their, like, they're looking for that. And so if you're not providing an about you page that has a lot of information, you're missing out on the opportunity of actually, first of all, helping people to identify with you as the founder of your business so that you can get more customers, because people love to work with people. And so having that is a really useful way to add more pages to your website and actually have the ability for your website to get found for any number of things. And why, again, okay, so I didn't even mention why I'm saying you should add more pages to your website, but having a really a website that has a very small number of pages is actually limiting your ability to get found in search just significantly. Essentially, for every page you don't have is a page that you can't get found for, math and logic. So if you don't have a lot of pages on your website or a good number of pages on your website, you're making it more difficult for the search engines to deliver content, deliver people to you when they're searching for something. And then again, I'm using that idea of you should have more pages on your website, and then taking that and saying, now, what should those pages be about? They should be about any number of things related to your business. They should be about you. They should be about your team. They should be about your manifesto, about the company. You can have an entire page about your pet policy at work. So if you are a very dog-friendly business, I have seen businesses that have an entire page dedicated to office pets, and it's fantastic. Whatever it is that you want, essentially, is what these pages can be about. When I say whatever you want, I don't mean that you should just make up a bunch of stuff that you want to see in a website and then make your web developer do all of these things. That's going to cost you money, and it won't necessarily help your SEO. What I mean by what you want is take an idea of what your customers actually care about. Again, use your own search engines to figure out what people want to know about your industry, about your topics, about you, about business in general. What do they want to know in the industry? What are your competitors' web pages that they're using on their website? What are all of those things? And then figuring out how they apply to your business and then how you can add them to your website. So I had a question about tags. How important are tags? Okay, so let me define this a little bit for people. When I hear the term tags, I'm assuming that you mean tags that, like, if you're in Shopify, when you create a blog post, you create tags. And then when you're in other types of software like WordPress, you create tags for your posts or for your pages. Tags are important because they are a sorting mechanism, and they actually help people to sort the information that they're like looking for. So if you're on my website and you're looking for information about branding, we have a tag called branding. You may be able to find more information about branding by looking at that tag. It just essentially turns a piece of information into searchable content on your website. So if, again, for Pat, if you have a lot of content about peanut butter on your website, you might use a peanut butter tag. And I'm just thinking about the fact that I have peanut butter granola on my counter. So if you have the tag about peanut butter, then you may want to, if you have like a web page about the peanut butter, the recipes to use with peanut butter, if you have blog posts about peanut butter, then you can use the tag peanut butter to essentially combine information with all those things. If anyone searches peanut butter on your website, they will easily be able to find all of that information that you have tagged as peanut butter. What the tags are doing is making your website easier for people to use. It's not a search engine thing so much as it is an internal search thing that is making your website easier for your customer. Yes, tags are fantastic. If you have a website where you have the ability to create tags, create away. They are quite useful. They are useful to you as an organizing and sorting mechanism. They are useful to your customer as an organizing and sorting mechanism. So use them, but don't feel like, oh, I don't have tags. I need to go back and organize my entire website by tags. Yay. But also don't freak out about that. It does not happen. It is not that important that you need to stop everything and do it. It's useful. That's it. It's just useful. If you can, go for it. If you can't, don't worry about it. So yeah, so my entire game here, my entire point with this Marketing Monday is that we really need to think more about adding more. Like, your website is not just a place for you to add the 1 or 2 pages that you care about and that you think are going to be really important. It's really, your website is a depository of information, and it should serve as a depository of information. And it should serve as a lengthy, word-driven depository of information. This does not mean that your blog posts need to be 4,500 words long or anything like that. It does not mean that each of your web pages needs to be 2,000 or 3,000 words long. But if you have a sentence about something in frequently asked question, maybe you can write 400 words about it on a web page. If you have a paragraph or two in your about section that's about you as the founder, maybe you can expand that out and really give more backstory and actually talk about you and put links into the schools that you went to and all of these things so that people who actually care about these things can relate to you. Maybe if you have these different packages that you're offering on your pricing page, that you have the ability to then take each of those packages and create an entire web page where you talk just about that package. This is what you'll get in the silver package, and explain it in narrative form, what the silver package is and why someone would want it. These things are not just useful for the search engines, they're useful for your customer. And they're also good because they let you link to them. So if you have a frequently asked questions section in your contact page, and then each of those questions you're going to take and expand on a web page, you can link every single one of those frequently asked questions. You can link to the corresponding page on your website that goes in deeper on that topic. For your pricing guide, when you have all of your prices with your packages, you can link the silver package to a page where someone, by the way, you should still have the ability for them to buy that silver package on the silver page. So you don't remove the ability for them to make a purchase, put it at the top, the middle, and the bottom. We try to get the money, but have an entire page dedicated to the silver package. What is it? What are all the details? Maybe put up some examples on that page of what people got when they bought the silver package. But having that there is really, really useful, because then the search engines can find you. Way more likely they're going to find you if you have more information on your website. And then also your customers are actually going to have more information to decide whether or not they want to come along with you on this journey. It's really important that we don't get too confused about what should be on the page. The thing that should be on the page is information that is going to clarify for someone more about that topic. That is it. And that is all. You already have this information. It is in your head. And if you're like, but I don't have the information, let's say, then like I said, Google it. Google it to find out what other people are putting out there, and you'll read someone else's page, someone else's silver price guide page, and go, oh, that's what she means by more detail. Because in all reality, we are inside the game. We are inside baseball. Have you ever heard someone who knows all of the details about baseball talk about baseball? And you're like, they're using acronyms and they're talking about distances and measures that you don't understand. There's all of these crazy things that are happening in these conversations about baseball. And I'm like, I don't understand none of this because I am not a baseball person. And so what we need to do is essentially assume that our customers are not whatever we are, people, right? Our customers are not cooks. Our customers are not business owners. Our customers are not photographers. They're not marketers. They're not any of these things. And so what we need to do is explain things to them in the most stripped down way possible without acronyms, or maybe even that. I have seen glossaries on web pages before, which I was on websites, and I'm like, oh, glossary, that is a fantastic idea. A glossary is a page that explains all the acronyms in your industry so that people can feel smart. And so if you then use one of those acronyms in one of your blog posts, you can link from that acronym to your glossary to help people learn. Like, just being conscious of the fact that people just don't know what you know. And so what our web pages are meant to be doing is helping them to feel like they know as much as you, so that they can trust you and hire you to do that thing. So I have a couple of questions that are coming up. I'm going to try to get to them. I normally don't make my Marketing Mondays this long, but I feel like I cheated y'all because of all that noise earlier. So I'm going to give you a few more minutes. So how do you find where you rank in a Google search, or if your search is authentic and all? So the question that I'm hearing here is, how do you know what's real about your own Google search metrics? And the answer to that is Google Search Console. And I can't tell you more about that because it's a really long topic, but Google Search Console will help you to learn about where you're ranking, what words you're getting found for, and all of that good stuff. It'll actually tell you like what you need to do more of and what you need to do less of specifically for your website. Google Search Console. And I said, yes, that the calls to action should be anywhere that call to action makes sense. Every time when someone goes from your pricing page to your packages page, you should have a button at the top of the page that's buy now, because maybe they just clicked on it and they knew they were going to buy, and then you give them the option. And then somewhere near the middle of the page, while you're explaining some more stuff, have a little call out button that says, okay, buy now. And then at the bottom of the page, have another one that says, you done? Buy now. If you can put 4 or 5, depending on how long the content is, put it all over the page. Now, if your content is literally like you can't scroll, it's one block long, like it's this long, then maybe you only need one buy now button. If they can see the buy now button without scrolling, maybe you only need one. But other than that, yes, you probably are not putting enough buy now buttons in there.